Okay, I think we are live. Didn't reboot this time, so we'll see if there's any issues with stats. Which, by the way, I should be able to. Oh, come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. All right. Different time of day than my normal stream. And it, geez. Tell you what. Sometimes it just seems like I keep seeing things that make me think, feel synchronicity, which synchronicity is a very nice thing to feel. I'll tell you what, everybody. Anyways, I want to try to get online at a different time. See if that made any difference for Africa or Kick. Africa or Kick. Bam. A good day though. Tell you what. Did yard work. Got a bunch of stuff done. Bunch of stuff. Huh? Yard stuff. I figured out why the mason bees are hanging out. That's very cool. Um, so there's been a swarm of mason bees around my patio. I put in, it was a lot of tubes, apparently, and I guess each tube can have 5 or 6 bees in it. And there's probably typically about 30, 40 bees flying around my patio. They're mason bees. You don't have to worry about mason bees. There's about nothing you can do to make them sting you. They bump into you. It's weird having bees and you hear them and everything. They fly near your ears. I used to be very responsive to bees because I assumed all bees were the same, but actually there's very few bees are quote unquote honeybees. And when you go into the vast majority, they're solitary. Mason bees are solitary, and they just don't have a hive. They don't make honey. They just eat the pollen. As it turns out, that's enough, right? I mean, the pollen is nutrition as it is, and as long as you can get that at the right time, which that goes to like sorry, I just saw something. The point is they have like a point in early spring where they're all doing their business as they are doing. And speaking of, I mean, I'm kind of finishing eating. And I'm making the nests using repurposed water bottles of a couple sizes. So, while I'm talking today, rather than just sitting there, have a constructive project. Move a few of these things around, give you guys some perspective on it, on how little effort can lead into great things when you design it all to work in harmony. And these are plastics that would often get recycled. This plastic is very hard to recycle. Somebody said basically, if it's a number several numbers of plastic where they'll pick the recycling up, but they're not telling you that they're not really gonna do anything with it. They'll pick it up, you'll feel good, but if you think that you're doing something good for the world by recycling, you're wrong. You are wrong. So let's have a discussion there. Hey Zexy, cheers. Appreciate you. I will get back to it and follow you after. The point is, I'm 40, and when I was in elementary school, they took us aside to tell us about global warming. This was in the 80s, all right? Maybe it was like early 90s, but I'm pretty sure this was when I was living in Michigan, which was before 3rd grade. Yeah. It's hard to remember anything before 3rd grade anyways. It's hard to remember yesterday, honestly, the way I live. Anyways, so I line them all up. I want to have the flat edges on one side because I don't want those furry sides to catch on their little precious bee wings. And then I just take my water bottle, which I cut the top off of. And this is going to be really useful because I'll be able to put it places. And I don't think they have to be perfectly, I don't know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how they work if they're closer to the ground. I think that they might get hassled more if they're closer to the ground. So I don't want to set these on the ground. What I may do is use some paracord to create a bit of a holster for them to hold them up. Only thing is, they don't really have much to hold on to. You know, they're perfectly round. So how I'm gonna, and maybe I just put, I know how I could do it. I got an idea. I'll tell you what. This is why I work on these projects, though, is because getting some creativity for how you might stabilize a cylinder like this. You know, there may come a time when arranging plastic cups to, for example, catch rain could be very important. And being able to manage that, being able to arrange something where they come out in a predictable pattern might be an important skill. It's very unlikely that this is going to be necessary. But the side benefit is this idea that you're practicing. I'm practicing dimensioning. I'm practicing some basic skills, cutting, holding. My hands keeping these things even in a single place is actually, you know, telling my body that it has to hold stuff. And how much time do we really spend with our fingers holding and arranging things? I think depending on our lives, it can be minimal amount of time. Not that you need to do it a lot, but just a daily input, some sort of small daily challenge is key. And for me, okay, so as I get productive with this and I stop bitching about the past, because I do have to move past all that. For me personally, the February is usually the time when my personal frustrations become their loudest. And I'm also hopefully wrapping up some stuff that I've been stuck in, some drama in my life that I gotta figure out. It's going to be a framing part of my life for the rest of it, which is why I don't mind going through the whole experience so publicly. I think that every detail, move a muscle changes a thought, and I believe that every detail of a person's life is important. If it matters to you, it matters to me. And if people applied the same perspective that they really emphasized with my level of concern, I honestly believe that we would be able to respond to the shortfall. I don't think people give me that same consideration that I try to give them. We don't have a culture which is emphasized on treating each other that respectfully. The emphasis is alternatively on making a bunch of progress, supposedly, reaching a goal, but goals have been corrupted. The idea even of a goal right now is not really what it used to be. So we can start with small projects like this one, where all I'm going to do is get the cardboard into a slightly packed fit, where the pressure is what holds them all in place. The bees aren't going to shake that up. And this long front is going to make this all extremely safe and dry, so long as I don't put it in a place where it will catch water. And what I can do too is I'll cut a, so to make this stay straight, here we go, you can see it there. And I've just filled it with these paper straws. I got paper straws that have no wax, just paper, just plain paper straws. Not dyed, not bleached. Although they look like they may be bleached. You shouldn't get bleached. The point is, the bees don't seem to care. And here we are. There's a name for them. Footprint paper straws, giant 10-inch, unwrapped, biodegradable, premium eco-friendly paper straws in bulk. So, little box here, and I mean, there's a bunch of tubes there. Probably 40, I'd say. I don't know. In each one, I have a gallon size, which was the other one that I filled. And then I have a glass jar that I put some in, but the glass jar, I regretted as soon as I finished it. I'm just worried it's already been used, which doesn't really necessarily matter. I should maybe go, I think that they won't be flying at night. I don't think bees tend to fly at night. That might be just a wasp thing. Mason bees may not have a choice sometimes because they don't got a house to go back to. But anyways, yeah, you know, nice little project. Keep little projects, small things that pitch in. And why is this such a better use than recycling? Well, number one, recycling, it won't get recycled. You can put this stuff in your recycling, but go ahead and look it up. These days, there's numerous reasons why we have a lot of difficulty recycling things. Single stream is stupid for obvious reasons. And people refuse to sort their stuff. Americans wanted to be lazy. The whole rest of the world sorted their stuff. And I went to Toronto like 10 years ago and they had the 3 separate recycling bins. Long past time. We need a recycling bin for paper. We need a recycling bin for metal. We should have a recycling bin for glass. And we should have a recycling bin for plastic. Plastic just we need to really start using less of it. And for me, the thing is, these came in, I was with family, and, you know, it was a situation where I didn't want to bother with much. We were at Costco, and I bought a 12-pack of these water things. This was done, geez, like months ago. To give you an idea of how long I hold on to this stuff. I hate throwing it away. I hate putting it in the recycling bin. I'm doing it more now. I was sort of in it's amazing how the jobs that I work have sort of led to this existential malaise on like a constant basis. Because the thing is, it should be so easy. You know, I'm in that dream. I was in that dream land where I was making better than even where they say that, a little bit better than where they say the happiest people are, which they say is about 70,000, 75,000 per person, is where the people who have that income are living, you know, a life that they enjoy. Most people in that range are putting money away for retirement and stuff like that. And I have some money put away for retirement, but I don't think it's going to last until it's time for me to retire. I don't think the monetary system is going to last. Anyways, my point is small projects, something like this that helps the system out, perfect. And it's better than recycling because the 3 R's. You know what the 3 R's are. What a lot of people don't know about the 3 R's, which they told us in that class, and I've always known, and it is obviously true, is they're put in the order they are for a reason. Reduce, reuse, then recycle. They are put in the order of priority. First, you reduce. First, you try not to use plastic. I do use plastic. I have a reverse osmosis water filter though, and I normally am drinking water from a 5-gallon jug that I picked up. It's a plastic jug, but I picked it up at a water cooler thing. When I got it, it was full of water. I've got about 4 of them, and I just rotate them. Lets me pump some water into them and let the water sit for a while, which letting water sit is just good for plants anyways. Once reverse osmosis filter, you don't really have to do that. I do it. I like it, like letting the air breathe a minute. Let some life get back in there, let it get away from what its existence was inside of our water treatment plant, and more back towards nature. Cool. So the point is reduce, but that way I reduce my plastic bottle usage. When I do have to use them, I hold on to them so I can reuse them for something like this. I'm hopeful that I can. I've actually got a project for the lake house. So I want to make a. It's not my lake house. It's kind of like a family thing. But we have our family vacation there, and I would like to figure out how to turn some of these plastic containers, which the ones that I like are actually Whole Foods OJ, which I'm going to start drinking again so I can pick it up because they've got a handle, and that's good because to use them underwater I can't poke a hole in them. The nice thing about these is I can poke a hole, the bottom and the top, and use that to run a string through it, and that string is then the locator, and then I can wrap it and create, so that way this can't turn or anything inside of it. The hole in the bottom, if I keep that hole in the bottom too, the other part is that will drain water. And how I make sure that this thing drains water is another question, and maybe that's a deeper cut, because we do not want water to get on the paper. Once the bees in the spring, they will finish with these things, and once they're done, in the summer, they should be finished. You can take the tubes out and put them in your refrigerator to keep them stored. And I've got, I can't really, it's got to be like winter temperatures. They seem to do okay with the weather. They did okay this year, right? They didn't jump out too early. But yeah, small projects like this, things that I've had these straws for a long time. I've had the plastic containers for a long time. And projects came in spurts before. So if I do get some sort of recognition and it's just enough for me, then the point is, even if other people don't jump on group projects, I'll just keep doing mine, and try to convince people full time. I've already been a lot more active since I'm not working. I spent the whole day today just about in the yard. Cleaned out the plants. I've got a bunch of plants now that are 2, 3 years been planted in my property. It's not my property. I don't own this property. I rent. It's one of the reasons why this place is the way that it is. I'm not going to improve this for my landlord. Sorry, landlord, but not sorry. I don't. Thing is, for me, if I start improving stuff, I finish it to a really nice level, and to finish something, you get rid of all the problems. So if I start, it's just going to be, and this building I think is going to be condemned before long. Though I could be wrong. There was another building I thought that about 20 years ago that I had my business in, and it's still standing. And they put in boutiques and stuff. I saw that, I was like shocked. It's good being around a home for a couple days, even if it does send me into personal emotional spirals and remind me of trauma left to deal with on my own terms. Communities do diffuse trauma for people. It is important to have people with you. You only need one, really. And but the thing is, for me, like, I accepted my trauma, and whereas a lot of people think everything is about just escaping the trauma. Escaping the trauma for me is very easy, and the only reason that I tend to deal with people while they continuously re-traumatize, because they just don't have any sense or decency. The point is, I'm actually stressing myself out constantly by dealing with them, and I would be much better off finding a different place, if I wasn't advocating constantly for this response to the collapse. People say you don't have to do it with your life, but they don't understand that if you apply a realistic perspective, then yes, it is. They just don't. They don't ever begin. They don't want to be part of the conversation of explaining what's required to understand the scale of the issues that we face. So, without understanding, what are they doing? Just wasted everybody's time, which is heckin' frustrating. And and for a minute though, I thought I was gonna get a ton of support. I don't know. I think I'm gonna get. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think it would be awfully cruel to be teased about this by my friend who told me about it, but we'll see. Not that I've not faced cruelty in my life. It can happen, but you get those starts, and after 20 years, how many times I've thought that I was finally going to change something key about a situation. Because it isn't even just a matter of me getting support. The real success of this project, of a grassroots project, is how it's treated by its society. And they were so aggressively against groups before, which they've just stopped doing for some reason when it comes to political groups or freaking neo-Nazis. How in the world do we have so many prevalent freaking neo-Nazis these days? It's astonishing. Anyways. Shooby down. Okay. So I've got these 3 done. And let me get my paracord so I can show you how we do it. So yeah, I think as with most people, where depending on what people are engaged with versus even maybe not even being busy doing anything, conversation naturally flows, really. We worry too much about what's coming out of a person's mouth. Psychotherapy has given us this idea that it's like all that important. And so much of my professional success and my promotional success stems from understanding that most people don't even know what they want. Buy this stuff, buy the online bulk stuff you buy online these days, guys. These stores make a fuckload of money buying a spindle of this, wrapping up 20 feet and selling it to you for $8. This was 13 cents a foot. So, and the thing about paracord that's just wonderful is it's endlessly reusable. Cool, right? Cool. Holy shit, that's awesome. I love it. So what I'm going to do here, this is a little trick, couple knots. Just got to know a couple knots for this one. You know the bow line, of course. Classic bow line. Very key, very key. First, I'm going to put a hole in it. One hole. And what we'll do, I'm going to leave this plastic on here. Scissors out here, no choppy chop, 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 chop. Plastic holds its edges pretty well anyways. You don't have to worry about like the cracks spreading like you do with glass. A glass crack will quickly become a big problem. Compromises the strength a lot. And one way you can help the glass is something like this, leaving a sticker on it. Another little bit of quick knowledge. Some people might habitually clear the sticker off to make it look clean. But so now I've got about a dime-sized hole right there. And then I'm going to do a slit in the top. Oh, you know what? Maybe I'll remember that next time. Yeah, I need to look closer to, because that, okay, anyways, that's down right here. I'm gonna put in another hole. Okay, not a hole, I'm just gonna put in a slit. So, now I've got my two holes. I've got about, what is that, about one wingspan. I think that's 4 or 5 feet. And I'm going to go through the top hole, which is tight. Let's give myself a little bit more of a gap there. Through there. Go through. Come on, you got this. Okay, we're in. And paracord is covered in nylon. It's extremely durable, never rots. It's extremely strong as well. So this is going to pull up through here, no problem. And what I'm going to do is for me, in this case, I'm not going to get fancy. You all know how to tie this knot. I'm just going to tie it in line, make a loop, pull the remainder through. Fun knot, good knot. Square knots and these knots, super handy, super basic. There's like no chance there's going to be enough weight on this thing for it to pull free. So what I want to do next is create the loop on the other side. Here, okay, I'm gonna create a little structure here. That's not far enough away. Okay, now here we run into our first problem. How do I keep this from sliding in? And I was thinking about using another hoop back here, right? But then that can slide in, and this can end up like that, just about, where it'll just pool with water in a very bad way. So one thing I'm going to do is open up a breathing hole in the back. That'll help. For the breathing anyways. And I don't want to put this on the inside with that. So the point is, I want it, I gotta make this happen. It's always the riddle, you know? But I want to be able to hang this, and yeah, and there's no way a bird or an animal is going to get inside there and fuck with them. So I should be able to hang these, no problem. I just want to be able to, oh, come on. How'd you fall out? I didn't think any of you were going to fall out. So make a loop, pull this through, boom, boom. Now, this in a loop creates this spot up here, and what I gotta do is keep this distance stable, which I'll just use one of these ones for. This will not last long. The paper will biodegrade on top of the nylon, but no matter what, this nylon stuff, which probably is a microplastic, now that I think about it, something like that. this stuff will doo-be-doo. And the final knot that I want is going to be is a bow line, just because I was a Boy Scout. And a lot more of you should go through here. A lot more of you should come out here. Boom, boom, boom. So that doesn't seem to get the job done too well, does it? I don't know, guys. We are gonna a little bit of extra knot there, little fancy sauce. Why not? Why not fancy sauce? Look, I'm even gonna do some of this one with the square knot now. You guys aren't really seeing the project too much. Just fun knots. Yay! I don't think it's gonna go anywhere now. Thanks to novel usage of a... Although, is it gonna... How am I gonna keep this thing stable? I don't know. I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna go put these out there. I'll be right back, you guys. Well, it was worth a try. It's put up, but for sure, I think I'm just gonna put some tape on it versus trying to. Um, and I'm running low on these straws. I gotta buy some more. But I put out a lot more than I did last year, assuming that this is working. Because, geez, there's a lot of bees in my patio during the afternoon. Jeezy beezy. But yeah, I can just grab some tape, put it on there real quick, and I'll get that done right now. But the point is, projects and how we arrange our lives around projects. Very, very important aspects of life and our time. And a lot of people have meaningless pasts because they lived unconscious lives for very long times. I don't have a meaningless past. I have a past rife with meaning and purpose. I don't want to let it go, and I don't need people around me who expect me to pretend like my past didn't happen. Like it's a memory that I want to forget or a nightmare to wake up from. Um, it was just what it is, right? When you begin to accept life, I just don't see what the problem is. And the nice thing about this clear plastic is it allows me to sight the pipes. The bees will fill them in, and you'll be able to see light through them once they're being filled in. So I was able to look at one of these that I have out there right now, and I checked it out. They haven't begun to fill it yet. They say to swap out, or else there can be some issues with like mold, etc. They want you to use different ones. But the one that has all the bees around it has been there for 2-3 years. I never saw it get much use. Maybe I just missed this moment. Now that I have plants, now I have a ton of plants. I use plants actually to get around something in the winter. So if you live in low income areas, you often are dealing with some of the situations I deal with. Not many people in my city deal with this as an issue, but I do. My apartment has a lot of drafts. It has very crappy insulation. It's another way of saying that. And that lack of insulation, once you have heat being generated in the house, that creates a massive delta between the temperature inside and the temperature outside. The pressure, which is forcing the air to move, which in this case, there'll be the cold air outside and the hot air inside. The cold air on the outside squeezes in, fills in the floor that pushes the hot air up. The hot air escapes through wherever it can. While it does that, it pulls moisture, and the cold air coming in has very low moisture. So you have a constant hot moist air leaving, and cold air that's just can't possibly have as much moisture because it's 40 degrees colder because it's 30 degrees outside because it's Michigan. Mm-hmm. So, the point is, have good projects. When have frustrations in your life, nonsense in your life, you can't get away from. I was talking to family trying to help them understand how dad, he's still deals with my large family. I have 4 siblings, and dealing with them when they refuse to develop past a certain level is an exercise, and it's so sad that I can't just have relationships where I'm able to talk and have my words be received as they're transmitted, by their verbatim meaning versus people who see everything as, some sort of politic. I'm too old, guys. I don't have the energy for that shit anymore. I'm serious. But got the kitchen clean today. Probably saved a couple plants today. A couple nice arrangements around the place. Got the water funnels held in where they're at. For the gutters, there's a plastic tube thing that keeps getting kicked off, but now it has a little pile of rocks around it, try to hold it in place. See how that goes. And talk to people. I think I might get a phone so I can begin moving and streaming, but it's very likely that I won't be doing it to all 4 services then. Twitch and YouTube are the most convenient. Twitch is where I spend my time in the live space. YouTube, I mostly watch recorded stuff. Even though I'm streaming to YouTube now. Thing is, YouTube's so well integrated with Restream that I can keep that going without ever having to go there, whereas Africa... Yeah! What's up? Sorry, I was refilling my herbal medicine. I wouldn't say it's medicine, my herbal food stuff, But yeah, I probably will. Dinner is a bunch of vegetables. It's air fried potatoes, carrots, Brussels sprouts, pan fried corn, peas, and eggs, and then some rice. Put some yogurt on that, hot sauce, a couple spices, some salt, and then some garlic dressing stuff that I have, some garlic lovers dressing. Came out really good. Very, very organic mess. Everything is non-processed. Cheers, yeah. It is delicious actually. The cooking methodology that I believe in is, and here, let me show you. Doesn't look too pretty, but it's all about the quality of the food. if you cook with good food, then eat it. So yogurt, this is my first time using yogurt, and I think I'm going to keep doing it. I'm a big fan of sour cream, especially on potatoes. Going to yogurt, and I'm using a whole yogurt, is much lower cost. Um, yeah, no, everything that I cook is like that, and I cook from just basic, start with produce, put it together, get that veggie fiber, all that. Um, with the butter and the coconut oil, gives it a lot of oil. Uh, it's a neutral yogurt. It's organic. Everything is organic. But the and non like weird flavor stuff. The yogurt is a whole organic. That's it. No flavors. No, well, no. I just well, for me, it's just a matter of quality of life. We all might live to be 200. This is a pretty it's a very healthy meal. I think most dietitians would say that it's a very healthy way to live and eat. Um, Maybe not to the bulk that I do. I am over 200 pounds, and I do intermittent fasting, so I get one really big meal. Um, but yeah, thanks. Cheers. Yeah, in my room, this room is set up for the stream sort of thing. Although I really didn't pay much attention to common sense with the reflective finishes on the paintings on the wall. If the lighting is wrong. Yeah. What's zero mad? IF is intermittent fasting, but not or OMAD. Yeah, I'm dense. Okay. Yeah. Well, and for me, what I do is the 5 hour fast, and that's this. I ate like an hour ago, so it's cooled down. It's not as good as it was when it first came out, I would say, but I kind of pick at it. And I had my first calories probably at like I think 7:30. I try to do 5 hour fast, so I do 5 hours on and 19 hours off typically. But I've been on the road. When I was on the road, I had restaurant meals a couple times and ate with my family where the food is just not like this. And I'm getting back on my general stuff. I've been really fortunate, honestly, with my work life. I work around the Detroit Midwest, yeah, on the road, and also when you have the quality of life of working from home, which I've had now for, or I'm unemployed right now, but I had about 8 years of employment working from home, and a year and a half, 2 years off work. It's like the last 10 years. Um, I'm a sales engineer. I'm an electrical engineer. I worked in industry. I represented major international product line. I don't think that the job that I was doing is going to be there in 5 years. So I didn't mind losing it. I'm young enough. I'm 40, and but I need to figure out a way to. The point is, I've got 25 years of working life, and I don't know. That's the thing is, I don't know what we're going to be doing past AI. I don't know what the problem is. I couldn't believe it when I got this job. The job that I just left, I only had for 15 months. And when I got in, they used Microsoft Office to the fullest extent, and they had Microsoft like sorting the emails, taking down notes on when the meetings were, et cetera, like automatically sorting through emails. So Microsoft's already got like Outlook literally watching almost every email sent in industry, all industry. And that idea of like an AI having all those nuts and bolts at its disposal, I expect, yeah, the idea that we're really about to walk every professional out the door. And I've been saying that for like 10 years as I've worked. I'm an industrial controls engineer, an automation engineer. I worked on assembly lines, so it was really old technology. I was shown AI in college. It's really nothing new. It's just done to a tremendously advanced scale now. It's done so much so fast that it does things that people used to say it could never do, but I always knew it could. Um, Point is, what's coming next? And so a lot of why I stream is to begin to get a social dialogue going. As I say, we need to have a. Oh yeah, well yeah, no, well sales. The problem with sales, it's not just sales though. All white collar work is probably about to disappear in industry. All white collar work. Um, Buyers, sellers, salesmen, marketing. How do you market to an AI? It's not like marketing to Americans. It's not as easy as marketing to people. The AI is super intelligent. How do you potentially mislead it? And once you do, how do you hide that you misled it? The problem is any exploit leaves evidence, especially when everything is so incredibly well measured. No, no, the IT clowns. No. IT wieners are like stuck in minute details that are utterly irrelevant and will be completely outmoded within probably a few months. IT was the wrong way to go. You're walking into the world of the AI, and you are not going to be able to compete with an AI. So an IT quote unquote technician is really it's just a person fumbling in cyberspace. Yeah, no problem. No, it's but just the and no matter which role you say, I can probably very quickly I can tell you exactly how automation and AI is probably already having an impact. But the real coding language and so my backgrounds well no, Leon, it's not going to be a clean transition. We don't have a central controlling agency that's going to make this an efficient pivot. I don't think there could be like a secret mastermind running the global economy, but I don't think we would be doing so bad. I think that if there is a mastermind, it's cutting. It doesn't have control, and it's like working between a bunch of mad powers. So the point is, jobs are going. Yeah. The last to go jobs. The thing is, I think that at some point it doesn't matter necessarily what's the last one to go. I mean, once we reach a point of like only 20% or 10% of the population needing jobs, we have an obvious demand to create a value set where we're not judging people's value based on their jobs. So more importantly, it'll be who's the first to go. And once we've lost enough, I think that we'll find a change. Well, what do you mean when people don't have jobs? For the majority of history, people have not had jobs. Jobs are the exception to the rule. Like jobs are about 1% of human history. They didn't, of course not. No. Everything that economists are just kind of liars and scumbags. Um, UBI is the only way that resources will arrive to the person. Yeah, it's going to have to be some sort of UBI or a grant system. Universal basic income creates a baseline, still having some ability to probably get awarded, which they're already talking about. OpenAI a week ago or 2 weeks ago, the speech they had at OpenAI had about, I think GPT-4 was the conversation. GPT-4 is already planning on UBI as well as wealth redistribution. And that's where it will actually targeted support different elements of the system to foster a change that it wants to see. These are basic things inside of a business. But we're already at a point where 50% of people are not employed, right? So the emphasis on jobs and money is just so obtuse right now, right? Yeah, no, and as I just said, my last 8 years haven't been much work. I've been very blessed in a lot of ways, which I hate, honestly. I would much rather be productively engaged. I just don't know how to actually address the real root of the problem because to me, the only thing that we need to be working on is developing that culture where we work together and we take care of each other in an empathetic way. The mental crisis, the mental health crisis they're talking about, is just an industry's fabrication. They're capitalizing on a natural, reasonable stress that so many people are feeling, and instead of giving them solutions, they're drugging them. So they're just really happy drug dealers. Not I don't think psychotherapy has a shred of value, but the I think that no, the mental health crisis is a marketing pitch from psychotherapists, which is the washout degree. If we're gonna let anything about society be told to us by assholes who don't even study math, who use such ridiculous abuses of statistics all the time, they call it a science, but it has no repeatability. There's stress among the population, but that's not a crisis. It's actually a healthy response during a time of what we're in. The stress is actually completely normal. That it's being called a crisis or mental health is a failure of our culture. It's only one way of perceiving human consciousness. Well, no, but it's yeah. You say what if, and I started off talking about when I was in elementary school being told about the ecological crisis. Yeah, no, well the crisis, but the point is the crisis is not the human reaction. The crisis is the physical system around us being so out of tune with people, being endlessly exploited, feeling like you're never gaining position, working problems that never go away, right? We are stuck in a hamster wheel of inability to do anything. We've had the least productive legislation in American history for like 20, 30 years now. Nobody cares about fixing anything. There's actually not any reason to fix them. And because we let losers like psychotherapists talk, right? We're at some point the situation's going to get so bad, and they'll still be drugging the kids that they're able to hijack and poison from childhood. But at the same time, we're not going to have any use for either camp. They're not going to be. They're not whole people. They're just drug addicts that were literally made by an industry to continue to sell pills. They don't have any repeatability in their process. They dramatically overstep the bounds of their science. Like, we don't know what any psychoactive drug does, right? We have no fucking clue how it impacts actual character. That's why every psychotherapist is basically playing hopscotch with a fucking 10-year-old's prescriptions. And if you're yeah, it's well, yeah, and then the first shall be last. And we're gonna at some point we're gonna understand we spent 30 years poisoning every bit of sense and character out of these people. I mean, we destroyed them. They don't work on a team. They're more work to put in to manage than they are work output. And we're about to have AIs that they're going to have to compete with, and their feelings are just fragile, errors. Why would capitalism care about their feelings? So yeah, a lot of other societies are ahead of it. I live in the Midwest. But the point is, it's the fundamental idea. Have you ever heard of bicameralism? The thing to look up, and this is where psychiatrists and psychologists both, the drugs are very serious, but bicameralism is where they're lying to you. Bicameralism, which is the truth. I have experimented, and you're welcome to look on, look it up yourself. But essentially, Julian Jaynes in the 80s wrote his book, The Origins of Consciousness and the Breakdown of the Bicameral Mind. And in the beginning, he gives you 13 different ideas of consciousness, and the last one is his. But the first 12 are what you probably fit in one of the first 12. Most everybody does, because the first 12 have this idea that the consciousness matters. The consciousness does not matter. The consciousness is not intelligent. All the consciousness is the excuse maker of the human organism. So psychotherapy, the entire process of talking things out, is actually counterproductive. Bicameralism makes that clear. That's a way of perceiving the world per se, but I actually think that there's got to be actually things which you care about. You may not realize it, but and it may not be part of your mind, but without something to actually pull you ahead, you may just check out right away, you know. I don't believe real nihilists make it long. I think it's a way of reaching out to talk to people about it. Well, no, it's yeah. I don't know. I don't agree with that at all. Um, the point is that we care. The point is our care having an impact in the world, and you know the pride that we can feel, which is really just a body mechanism. Yeah, a point to life is survival and growth. What is growth? An individual life, we get stuck on the idea of an individual life, but then we talk about how an individual life will sacrifice itself. But whenever a life is sacrificing itself in that sense, it's doing it to save other human beings, or it believes so at least, right? Um, yeah, life I just believe grows in a very subtle way, and bicameralism sort of goes to this idea where it's the end. Well, that's the thing, is the end goal of quote unquote growth. Progress, harmony is the real end goal. And what it is getting to a point, for me, it's a matter of getting away from oscillation towards stable, you know, a good idle for a car would be a way of saying it, you know. We are actually overgrowing right now. And that growth is not necessarily just material. It's not necessarily additional bodies. Growth is refinement. It's working from a pile of mud into a liquor, a fine liquor. That's okay. You'd have to agree. But my point is, if you go back to bicameralism, the whole idea that our conscious mind, the train of thoughts that we can put together makes choices is absurd. If we made choices based on what's written down, we would be as dumb as psychotherapists. This is why it's really important to call them assholes, because the idea that they understand anything is a joke. The human brain doesn't work in narrative form. Narrative is the new part of a human brain, and it's sloppy, it's not connected, it's something that the human being, most of them, can barely manage to manifest. So if it's something they can barely manage to manifest, why would we tell children to waste time with it like it's going to help them, when the real way to help them is actually to put them in a situation where their experience, because okay, I know math and I know controls and I know how computers work. I understand what fuzzy logic is. Fuzzy logic is a way of comparing numerous facets at once. Let's talk about an apple, okay? You walk into a house, and it's your grandma's house, and you see a table, and on it there's a bowl of fruit, and you see an apple. You know it's an apple because it's red, because it's shape, because it's luster. It seems like an apple. So these are three things. But when you say that's an apple, do you say, oh, that looks like an apple, that's shaped like an apple, that's all the things that tell you it's an apple that happen at once that you instantly know it's an apple? That's your thought. That's actually the beginning of even identifying something. And once you identify it, then even how that apple translates into other things. So you walk up to that apple and you pick it up, and it's too light. And you realize now it's not an apple. Without even thinking about it, you're not putting a sentence in your brain, this cannot be an apple, this is too light. You just pick it up, and after a second's confusion, an awareness that it's it's plastic apple, snaps into your mind. This is actually how human beings work. And the way to do it is sort of like the quantum eraser experiment. It's weird science. But you'll find people and most people, you can just do it. It's a sort of switcho changeo. But people will literally just flip-flop in their position when you really start understanding the real switches. So once you're a really talented interpersonal understander, which is not so much about communicating as it is comprehending and then creating the stimulus that causes the change. Because if I talk to you about the change, you're going to have an ego response, and you're not going to want to do it because you don't want me to get influence and control. So to really make somebody else do something it's very beneficial to be sort of manipulative. The point is, it's got to consider all these things simultaneously. And a train of thought is one line of thought. That's why it's called a train. You can't run through, is it the right color, and then go back and run through, is it the right shape, and then go back and run through, is it the right weight? Your brain in parallel does all these things. So if it's doing them all in parallel, the entire presentation of even the train of thought, we know people get caught up in talking. And that's the real essence of becoming an incredible communicator, is being able to share your thoughts while still being balanced and able to receive ideas. I mean, putting ideas out and being in that flow of the concepts. So, and I just don't believe that a human being who is limited to it couldn't tell the difference between an apple and a wax apple. They would be sitting there confused every time something was surprising for days. But they actually are able to do this to entire settings in seconds, right? When people go out and they're having a great time and they reach that flow state, there's no, and that's the thing, is our culture talks about the quote unquote flow state. What if we're not reaching flow state often because we're binding everybody up in psychotherapy, in a perspective where they believe that this silly shit matters? Like what some asshole who can't even get a decent degree has been able to fucking put together. There's good therapists who connect on a human level, but the therapy is just a negative. There's good human beings that connect on a human level. Great artists. There's great fucking coffee baristas that connect on a personal level. Great servers, great bartenders, great salespeople. Connecting is not something which belongs to therapy. Therapy is the dehumanizing aspect of taking a human being, which is a very complex set of interrelated systems, calling them broken fundamentally. As soon as you pay them to go in, you are declaring yourself broken. Never go to a therapist. If it's a professional service, I advocate this for everybody. Nobody should ever go to any therapist, ever, ever. If your community is so busted that you can't find somebody to talk to, yeah, well, it doesn't work. Put those people in front of me and watch me break them down. It doesn't work. They walk out believing they're fundamentally broken. They do something stupid, then they try to tell me they get to be stupid because a therapist told them it was okay, and they can't do anything about it. And I show them they better figure out how to do something about it, or they're not part of the plan anymore. Absolutely. That's the point. When I don't make space for that bullshit, it doesn't register. It doesn't even, they eventually grow up and work past it. Human beings are fluid. You gotta put a reasonable barrier on what people can do. And anxiety is a natural thing. You just gotta have a less aggressive norm. But when your final goal is to talk yourself through it versus reach a state of no mind, you're just ignoring the vast majority of humanity and human history. And AIs are not gonna do that. The problem, the placebo effect, it's not a placebo effect. What I said is that the therapist, there's a human level of connection that makes everybody feel better. It's the most addictive drug is human connection. When they mix in poisonous judgment, you better not be inspired by that. Do you know what happens if you're inspired by a self-definition that you're permanently damaged? It doesn't have a placebo effect. It fucks them up. It makes them never competitors. Don't feed your kids to a therapist. Don't even talk about that shit. It's ridiculous. It's an abuse of science. I've humiliated a lot of doctors. No, I've never gone to a therapist. I have siblings who they pretty much fucked up their lives, and my siblings are so disastrous in our family because of how they behave, which is fundamentally comes from their experiences with psychiatrists, a lot of drugs. But I've spent a lot of years talking this stuff, and I've studied it, and I've never met a therapist or a doctorate in psychotherapy, psychiatrist. I've never met any of them who have a leg to stand on. That was, no. It was definitely a direct judgment for my siblings. But it didn't happen because my siblings went to them. It took me a lot of years. My siblings gave me the passion to understand what had really happened. Watching it go down so badly, watching them become so insanely self-destructive, so counterproductive, and I watched all that happen, and I decided I wanted to understand. They don't have a, well, my little sister gets all her drugs from her psychiatrist. So she's adopted all sorts of, definitions that are really, the point is all she's doing is picking up drugs, because they got her too early and she's into drugs. My brother is disabled, and he doesn't, the point is we can't have a conversation and how we feel about it. It's so fucked up. There's no unwinding what his life is, which involves 25 years of some worthless motherfuckers literally experimenting randomly with him. I think that everybody who was part of it has like directly attacked my family. Um, but the point is, psychotherapy is ignorant. Bicameralism is the real truth. We understand it's the real truth. It's obviously the real truth, but we still use therapy. Um, well, it is a taking a young person and hijacking their development with drugs is absolutely a abysmal assault on a child. My parents paid for it. They endorsed it. They believed in psychotherapy, and I watched it rip them to shreds, destroy their bodies and their minds and their souls, destroyed everything about them. It's as any other addiction taken to an extent of every day would. No, I don't have kids. I do want to have kids. I just gotta. We're in such a point of decline. I really want to find a trooper to be with. But my kids are probably going to be a handful, and I really want to be next level in raising them, because I feel like my siblings who went down the mental health thing. We were living in the suburbs. It was isolated. They just had energy they didn't burn off. I don't think that's going to be a problem anymore. I don't think that if I had kids, I would have any issue with finding a way to engage them. All I got to do is find some place online and, get a couple friends who have kids and let them play. You could have a friend who's 1,000 miles away, whose 10-year-old is playing Minecraft, and now I can put my kid in the Minecraft server. So all that's changing. And once we really engage people versus feed them to monsters, that's, well, to an extent, material stuff, yeah, that's also there. The point is they just need to be engaged in a different way than my siblings were. And I learned that. And it's one of the reasons why I don't have a lot of interest in spending a lot of time becoming like an IT specialist or a coding specialist. But I think that there's no point in learning coding now that AIs are here. It's all computer stuff, including designing computers, is about to be automatic. But if I do end up with kids, then I'll figure it out then. Right now, we're about to see everybody get unemployed. So next 2 years, we're going to see 30-40% of currently employed people laid off. We're going to see, in the Midwest, we're going to see, I'd say 20-30% of these factories are just going to close. 20-30% of these businesses, they're going to be understood to not have any future. They're not going to have any line of credit. Banks could fold and just start closing businesses anytime. We're watching banks collapse. So if I find a woman that's that capable, which I don't expect, not locally anyways, they're just not. They don't pay attention. Yeah, absolutely an interesting time to live in. But yeah, no, the thing is, it's so just capable as in not led by the nose by society, not desperately needing to wear makeup, or dress in a way to get attention, secure in their own skin. That confidence is really important in a person, and for me, I don't have much of that drive, and I just won't deal with it well with a partner. But I also don't want my kids to be getting harassed to try to fit in. I think that a lot of that vanity is just bad. Yeah, well, that is, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That's actually psychology. It's an idea which is pretty robust. There's no application of it per se, except for let's make sure we take care of everyone, which psychotherapists somehow don't know, right? Yeah, and that's the thing is, a self action that's capable, right? A person who's not a person who's socially actualized is fundamentally just kind of like a failure at life, and that their kids are going to be fucked up from that because they're gonna tell them their compromises rather than inspire them to grow to their full extent. And that's just a waste of time. I'd rather be spending my time helping all the kids around me continue to rocket past their parents, than be it with a partner who just destroys and damages the kids while I'm off doing stuff, you know. But yeah, the thing is, it's as a science, there's ideas there, some few that matter. I went to school for a master's in education, and yeah, that's the thing. It's one of the reasons why I feel driven to stream. It's why I'm out here instead of just going and finding a job, because I could still be a white collar, stooge. I'm sure I could find a job if I was looking for one. But how we cheers, yeah. I went for a master's at Antioch, and I didn't finish it because I don't think they let us teach in schools. I don't think the curriculum is there to teach. But very much, like I said, that it's more about the walls than it is what is said. And the walls are created in a community, in a clique, among peer groups, based on character and attitude. That's what actually has to be done. And what the kids need to learn is essentially, to be good, to work square, because anything dishonest, anything they do to try to thumb the scales, there's going to be an AI watching them. So all thumbing the scales is just about to be caught. Not a good thing for a lot of people. that's an understatement. But yeah, no, I want to be inspiring to everybody, not just kids. I mean, if parents are there, I want them to think about what they're doing to their children and understand that positive reinforcement, the science is clear. Empirically, we understand, like, be good to your kids. And you got to create a certain set of security. And most people that I meet are bipolar in how they deal with every other person, because they don't know how to just say, I don't like that early, and begin putting a back pressure into the situation. For me, as soon as I feel anything, I just explode. So it's not just education in Canada, that's raising children. That's, yeah, Canadians, the point is, I get along really well with Canadians. They tend to be progressive. And I'm very progressive. We can do so much better. And I could maybe, with it, if I went to Canada, they'd want me to work in electrical engineering most likely. But yeah, it's oh no, it doesn't happen in America. It doesn't happen many places at all. We have a really nasty curriculum. The community elements that I've worked in, the time I spent promoting shows and dealing with artists and engaging philanthropists, is where I learned most everything. Florida's a joke, and we really. I'm trying not to end up on the issue as much right now, but I have a lot of very serious criticisms of seniors in our country and the right wing. No way. Thankfully, a whole lot of boomers have died since last election. These fucking traitorous bastards. So, so there's Republicans are getting smashed. And the only reason that Republicans stood a chance last time was because boomers are cowards, and they spread this fear that if there were too many Democrats in a row, they would just spend a bunch of money. I don't know why anybody's worried about that. Who might go for death sentence instead. Yeah, well, we'll see where it goes. But the point is, Trump's base. Okay, um, but no. But the point is, the right wing is freaking out. They have no chance. They're trying to get me all the time because I'm not a deplorable. The right wing in America is getting its ass kicked everywhere. They can't walk down the street with their shoulders proud. You know what I mean? There's no, you got to be in the fucking hills to find anywhere the right wing feels comfortable. And those places are really barren and sad. I go to them. I'm an interloper. So, I mean, Michigan, we had a lot of Trump voters. We had a ton of Trump voters in Michigan. They're really just lost children. But they're communities that are literally melting from the inside. No, it's not. No, why? You know why they're so violent in Florida? It's almost like they're in Israel. They feel like they're under attack. Seriously, they do. If you look at there's it's amazing. Okay, because they talk about it in the West Coast a lot, but it's also a major thing in Florida. Florida Man, right? Have you ever heard of Florida Man? You know what that is? It's the guy that can't be controlled. They talk about it like it's just a joke thing, but those guys go after rich old people. They're terrified. There are some camps they've built up. That's what I'm saying. Like there's a really well-known housing thing in Florida where they just go and they ride around in golf carts and they take Viagra. They all have sex with each other. But even that, they're hiding. They're still caged. That's these people. Yeah, in Florida. No, absolutely. No, but not across the country. GOP polling is terrible, and polling has been missing the mark a lot. You got to be careful where you're getting your polling from now, because there's a whole lot of misinformation trying to make it look like the GOP has a chance. But you can look over the years. The demographics are upside down. The GOP is almost everybody old. The Democrats are everybody young. They're going to have like 25-30% by the time it's 2024 of the country. They just don't have any chance of getting enough people to bring their person forward, especially not when you can say things like death sentence. I mean, DeSantis is just a little greaseball. He's not impressive in any way. Hopefully Democrats can get somebody out better than, I mean, Biden's also an utter shit president. I mean, I wish the motherfucker was not there. Bernie is my guy, but we got to get much. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the point. How much does it cost to invent a source? It doesn't cost anything. Not money compared to what's being thrown around in politics these days. Okay, sources are too easy to put together, and if they're only taking samples from a few thousand people, the ability to literally manipulate and change all that is just astronomical. We'll see where it's going, but the point is, you got to look. Don't look at these up to the minute readings, because there's too many games being played. There's clear understandings that the demographics which the right wing has been servicing is pretty much in their dotage. Oh, we can be sure about this. I can be absolutely sure about this. I mean, unless they do something to cheat the system, there's no way. I mean, it's like 60% versus 30%. It's 2/3. In a democracy, it's the tyranny of the majority. And the majority is just getting stronger all the time. And the thing is, the majority is a lot happier than the right wing is really depressed about it. And they're not dealing with it, which is why I'm getting my sources from Tennessee, from the idea that a young black man can literally trap an entire Republican establishment that easily. They're so wound up. A politician is first slow to act. Okay? When they're about to die, they get knee-jerk. And a sit-in, which is what that was, which we had in 1960. You don't fuck with a sit-in. You don't do this in America, okay? It's just feeding them. They tried to pull guys out of and they were in a counter, okay? And because one person was there with a camera, they get a picture and it's across the whole country. That's the definition of the civil rights movement. But this is every single one I talk to, really. They're always trying to justify that they're not dying, but they're so obviously dying. It's telltale heart. They know it. They're the only ones trying to bring people in. The other side is like the other side is so overbearingly strong and numerous that they don't, it's a mistake. And when I talk to my right, I'm an interloper. I'm a white, look at me, I'm like a white male. I got the bald head and everything. They hate me. Yeah, no, and you're right. We might see some change, but if the right wing doesn't get shown the door, I'm just going to call it a false election, and actually have a reason for doing that. And I think everybody's the same. It's they know this. They know that they don't have anywhere near enough people. They knew it last election, and the problem gets worse every day. The demographics are upside down. Every day there's more progressives. Every day there's less old fuck ups. And that's what they are if they'll vote for Trump. I mean, that's, yeah. Oh God, yeah. No, well, it's honestly, I really think that by the time we reach, November of next year, that's 18 months. We will be in a different sort of paradigm, and really the weather that we've seen already, at some point the confidence breaks. At some point old people are gonna, you don't want to be a leader during a crisis. No, that didn't happen. No, Leonidas, that's what they say, but that's not, the data is the opposite. Millennials destroyed that. Gen X too. Gen X hardly did it. Millennials are the absolute opposite. Millennials are staying progressive, period. I'm a six-figure earner. I'm a white-collar sales. We're literally harassing the old people at work. The managers can't upset us. And it's always this. I haven't met a single yeah, at 40, yep. But yeah, the point is that, but this is demographics. And oh, okay. Yeah, no, but that's the point. Yeah, so the right wing, and this is the consequence of ignorance and sin. They have been telling themselves that we're all going to become right wing as we get older, and nobody's doing that. So they walk themselves off a cliff. I'm a Freemason. They did the same thing in Freemasonry. It's a boomer thing. They don't really actually have brains. I think they just absorb too much lead. Do you know about the lead thing in the gas? And maybe you do see people go more right wing. I think that closeted people are very susceptible to the internet-based manipulation. They're the weakest, and they're just screaming about how weak they are as they suddenly jump on board of it. There's no justification for the right wing. They're mostly just running away from something, and as you said, it comes down to these taxes. That's the trap that they get. But at the same time, those people's situation isn't going to get any better now that they're voting right wing. That's the problem. Like, you can do whatever you want, but as your situation keeps worsening, eventually you become, and the thing is, the best thing about it, the Democrats aren't promising this. So the Republicans promise something that they don't deliver at all. That's why they're hemorrhaging. It's why everybody's laughing at them. They don't have a chance in hell. That's why they stack the court. We're just going to take that all apart. The Supreme Court's fraudulent right now in the U.S. Fuckers. Gun control is, yes. Let's get the weapons of war out of here for sure. We don't need weapons of war. Hunting, fine. It's the high capacity and high power. The 30-06 is considered the greatest threat to the electrical grid at this point. So there's other uses for it. I don't think that gun control is the answer. I think it's a quick Band-Aid that we should put on. Obviously, we should have put it on 40 years ago. People do not need this shit, period. I don't care. Get rid of it. It doesn't make anybody secure. It doesn't make a real security. It just empowers people to abuse their neighbors. And just a 12 gauge pump in every house is plenty, That's what I have, is a 12 gauge pump. And that's just a standard thing. And somebody's coming up to a door, you can put a slug right through the door. Make them think about opening that door. But the yeah, so I'm not much on the. It's just another losing fight that the right wing has chosen to die on the hill, and they're waiting for people to come to them, but they're not waiting for people to come to them. I am periodically approached by the right wing, like only by the right wing. The left wing never does this, and maybe I'm like a obvious target for the right wing, but in my experience, whoever is trying to sell me something more desperately is not the winning side. That's just like a very visceral way of understanding how strong a position is, and it's not being invited into like the good times. They don't have anything, and the thing is they apparently don't have many women. Oh, let me check. I'm on Restream, so that gives me both of them. I got to go into the Twitch stream manager, and I can see it, and I can pass it. Not there. I need this. Oh, it's not showing up on my list. I'm not sure. I think they have an activity feed. That's not showing it. Okay. I'm not sure why it might have, but it looked like you did something on gun control. I see that one. What is your thoughts on gun control? I have no idea what that mess was followed by automod. Okay, I got it. Rednecks. Oh, do you know? Do you know what rednecks are? You know what rednecks actually? You know why they've demonized it and they've switched that word around? Rednecks were labor organizers. Rednecks are Marxists. Labor organizers wore a red bandana around their neck. It never has had anything to do with hayseeds. But they took the term, and with the news media on both sides, people consider it offensive. It is banned because, and different people use it in different ways. Language evolves, but the original rednecks were labor organizers, and that's why it was turned into a nasty word. And now random people have adopted the word. Yeah, exactly. That's the best way to make that happen. Go find an inbred bunch of losers in the hills and tell them that they're rednecks now. And the thing is, they had, yeah, but the redneck that organized their mountain community was a labor organizer. It's not redneck like red on the back of the neck. It's redneck like red handkerchief. It's twisted. Yeah. Well, call them rednecks, but the point is, you should ask let them know that that's actually what it is, because a lot of them have been turned around. The idea of being a redneck is being for the people. It's a folk idea, which is awesome, in my opinion. I love folk art. But yeah, I mean, call them names and all that. I personally, I don't use many. I'm trying to use less and less. I'm working on my language right now. Like the N word, I just don't use it. I've had friends who try to get me to practice it, and I'm like, I don't see why I ever have to use it. Yeah, I know. No, that's why I want you to know, and that's something that's really funny to tell them. That's how turned around they are, really. I mean, if they're proud of living in the hills, they're hilljacks. Yes. Well, the interpretation of rednecks is, what would be called a quote unquote hilljack, which is it's a derogatory term, and we're talking in like scientifically, right, about these people. God bless them all. God bless all human beings. But understanding linguistics and how people adopt them, it's actually very important topical material. But yeah, it's the the point is, it depends on where it's at. It's that the N word is in a pile of its own. I really think it's the best for us all to just let go of it. And if they want to hold on to it to remember the things, let them do that. Yeah. Yes. Oh, cool. Yeah. No, Noam Chomsky. He's my dude. One of my big inspirations. His talk really, just how he talks, because he's a linguist and he's bringing these perspectives from other cultures in, is just eye-opening. I love it. Sorry, I'm running my bag here and filling it up and getting some chill on. I appreciate the conversation. You're a good talker. Thoughtful. But yeah, we're gonna see some change. But the future system, I think our current, two-party system in America is just a mistake. Like we need to have a different level of execution. Technocracy is the word I've heard recently that I kind of like. That let's use computers and AI in harmony to reach a next level of. Yeah, well, it leads to a very convenient. Yeah, yeah, dichotomous. Because that's almost autonomous. It's like, yeah, I think dichotomous, or dichotomous would be how it, okay. But dichotomous, where it's of having, yeah, bipolar, essentially. The thing is, it's an arrangement which for many years has been good cop, bad cop, but there's really only one abusive establishment. Yeah, well, autonomous it's a big word these days. No, the word, it really cutting words apart, and as I smoke and do other things, that does fade away in some sense, but also opening up the mind to where you're looking at the other connections. A lot of hidden genius is hidden in common phrases, common understandings. And what we really are in a moment of is redefining what genius is and getting to a much more precise and effective thing there. Yeah, no, well, the thing is, I sleep well. I just sleep. I don't wake up to an alarm. I haven't woken up to an alarm in years. I rarely have to wake up to an alarm. Um, I float through life, and it's been a blessing that I've arranged it to where I can. If I would have had kids, if I would have bought a house, I was driving a really fancy car, etc., I wouldn't be able to do this. But I make good money. I stack paper chase, stack cash, and lay low. I afford it because so I'm 40, and at this point, I have taken 8 years off since college. No, seven, seven. So in about 16 years, I've been able to coast almost half the time because I'm a well-paid resource. I'm an engineer who got into sales. I spent some time at six figures. Yeah, no, an education. Yeah, yeah. 12 weeks still, when you talk about 7 years, right? It's it's because it takes that still requires, and the point is too, the getting to a point of completely disconnecting is the goal. I want times of 1-2 years off. I was given a oh, Leo, I'm really sorry, but and in the sake of honesty, okay, this isn't to flex at all. I was in a sales engineering position where I really had to do very little. I worked from home, and I would maybe do work for an hour or two a day when I was working. Because I'm in a very unique situation in the Midwest. And where I'm at, teams are being dissolved. And there's really complex politics that were put in place before I ever showed up. So I get jobs and I'm supposed to sit. Yeah, I know. Yes. See here, Leon, and remember this, Leonidas, and this is what I think is going to change. Okay, this energy right now. Consider, pull back, breathe, and consider, because there's an endless, justifying future security that we all have in our language, in our culture. Um, yeah, yeah, but the point is, maybe that's long before you retire. Maybe that's in like 3, 4 years. Yes, but my point is, we're heading into a world where UBI, right? Once UBI is there, and we have AIs literally working on everything and balancing out society, taking care of the lost people. Everywhere is going to be a beautiful city. We're all going to have it. But yes, no, and they're totally fine. But my point is this: yeah, we have such an language, like in linguistics. They say that, here's a point. I was told that one of the most traumatic experiences people could have was losing their job. Yeah, deserts are beautiful. So are forests, and there's life everywhere. And once we have robots all around us helping to foster it, we're not turning these things into lawns. We're making food gardens all around us. I don't know. I think we'll be a lot of us will be in that state, which I think is a great thing. And suddenly we're not worried about having a plan to reach it, right? I live, and the problem with that, Leonid, is I use a real time perspective. I can tell you my goals right now, and they're not changing. It's where I'm heading towards. Um, and maybe I should write some goals so that I have some direction right now. But I just got laid off 2 weeks ago. I got one more thing to put down. Well, the go for the yeah, okay. So the goal is to realize human community and to be living in a human village with people that are not at all like Western intellects or characters. People who have a natural inclination to yes and. No, not a commune. I want a village, a human village. I don't think it needs to be anything like a commune, especially if we have a UBI, etc. If we have material excess and we have robots all around us that are able to speak and talk and do all the work. Yeah, so it's a emotional thing. It's how it's being part of a community that interacts at this level, which is going to involve satisfying Maslow's hierarchy for the entire community, which I guess that is somewhat like a commune. But a commune is typically running consensus model, which is a joke. Consensus model is utter trash, and anybody dumb enough to try to use it can't call themselves an organizer or a leader. It's a cop out of leadership. Consensus is an absolute failure mode. So communes are almost always consensus, and it's a failure. That's why communes fail. The Yeah, well, a community that has resources that are productive resources, yeah, robots. How long do you think it'll be before we have robot servants? And once we have robots, it doesn't be a family, it's a community that's actually just using the robot. And the robot can do the turning your yard into a once you have a robot that you have at your house that you picked up for, let's say, the purpose of home maintenance, and you buy a $20,000 robot, okay? It's gonna have a fucking sex attachment. You can bet that one. Yeah, but the point is it's gonna have attachments to do everything, and it's gonna be you're gonna have a yard, and it's gonna be you're gonna get marketed. Your phone, there's gonna be an ad. It's gonna say buy this add-on module. We'll mail it to you. The robot will pick it up. The robot will put it into play all around your yard. It will change your yard into something totally different. Yeah, no, the point is the whole limiting aspects of a commune. A commune is just the wrong way to think about it. This is a perfectly adapted existence which leads to human beings who maintain a level of security in their lives of not just physical, but also social, which is where the commune is often put on. Just go to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The goal is to take this community, sacrifice the hierarchy of needs, and then from that situation, then do them. You can do them. Yeah, that's the point. So the thing you have to understand, Leonids, is the market will not wait. So really the problem is human input is just substandard. You don't need to do it for work, quote unquote, anymore. Your work will never be delivered to another person in 5 years, because that person will get automated results for a fraction. You and your people you care about, your internal community, if we grow the food, if we create a system that emphasizes the food, if we turn all of our yards into food forests, we will have we will have an abundance of amazing quality food. Although in Michigan, we might still have a huge amount of contaminants from all the industry that we've had. But it's, yeah, we're going to have, the whole system is easy to work, but it's fundamentally, right? The point is, if you're going to take care, you have to have food. That's part of it. Maslow's hierarchy, right? No, right now nothing productive is happening right now. And all establishment and leadership are playing with fire. I wash my hands of all establishment leadership of this moment. Every single one, the right and the left. Yeah, that's why we have to have these conversations, is how we work towards a harmonious end. And we really have to get ahead of the curve. We got to get a human community trying to reach this goal. And that human community is going to be able to begin to hammer out a basic algorithm. And that way, when we get an AI to propose us an algorithm, we have some idea of how to understand it. Because we are heading towards algorithmic management in real time. That's what I'm trying to do with the conversations. And there are not many people online who want the same thing. I can go find, if I go talk to the average asshole, the average guy who wants to do this stuff, they're going to want some sort of ridiculous consensus idea. They don't have any engineering education. They don't have any business acumen. They're really just a pain in my ass all the time. There are not people who combine technical excellence with just a human desire, a realized, fully self-actualized human desire to live on the level with a human community. They want a future is all they want. And people who don't have a secure future never get to the level of thought like what I have. Yeah, I know. That's fine. But I just don't want the plan to be following stupid assholes, you know? Somebody who's not, the plan should be technical. And if you can't get behind a technical plan, we're not going to be on the same team at all, ever. Ever. I move faster without ignorant people on my team. There would be an algorithm. The leader would be an architect who is designing an algorithm. The algorithm is what everyone follows. That way it's auditable. We move away from human emotion as quickly as possible. So we start it with a focused group of excellent philosopher royalty. And that group, hopefully we can find a few, but how much philosopher royalty have you met in your life? There's just not many of them. And most of them are already pretty busy and not necessarily on this tilt. But you got to find the creme de la creme of human beings to be calling the shots. And then we get the money. My plan is to mix it, right? So you have this group which is calling the shots for this initial plan, the quote-unquote leader. Philosopher king is a theory that was put together by Plato. And his idea was that the eventual republic would be run by philosopher kings who have an enlightened perspective. I'm moving away from philosopher kings because there's no reason it has to be a man. Men are just pushed towards these more diligent studies, but the point is we've got to begin to use the technical approach. And if I'm the only one who can engineer it, I'm the only one who can engineer it. Yes, a woman engineer who's a lot more than just an engineer. An absolute consummate badass, right? But the point is, we don't want just one. But it's not a matter of let's make five. It's a matter of here's the bar, who can reach it, who can pass it. If they're not using math to realize plans, they don't think yet. They're not even beginning to think. It's not, they have a fundamentally different approach, and we're just going to be slowed down trying to explain it to them, and they're never going to understand it because they're going to try to put it in words, but it's math. It's applied math. That's how you use an algorithm. It will never be anything but an applied math, and the architect has to use it to some extent. And you can have a job as an architect or an engineer not using much of it, but it's the essence of engineering. And we are entering into a world of free engineering. It's not just going to be for our products. It's going to be in our culture and our communities. And if we don't begin this practice now, the consequences will be outright dementia for these communities, because they will never have a chance of comprehending why they're doing the things that an AI is encouraging, right? So I don't want to be in control. And as I do it, I want to keep the stream going. If I'm going to design something, if I was the leader, I've been on this tilt for 20 years. I've got a huge history that I've documented online. So yes, I may not do it in time, but I have prepared to not do it. There will come a threshold value where the system switches, where confidence goes away, and then all my advocating becomes a resume. This conversation is part of my CV. That makes sense? It's not a matter of time. I'm seeing past time because I'm an engineer, and that's what a competent engineer can do. Time is just a factor in the equation. Even though my life is moving on, the system moves according to the trend, which is a high-level physics statement that engineers, would use. But I hope so as well. But regardless, the point is I'm creating my impression into time, and all I'm doing is demonstrating that the people around me are failures. Yes, it's got nothing to do with me. Well, the thing is, I am actually an experienced moderator between community conflict in the art scene, on the level, not with any real dominance. And I've learned how to be very humble. I'm actually very, very exceptionally good at this. And not many people have been so successful in their environment so consistently to become who I am as a person. I believe that I'm an exceptional character. That could just be ego, though. Other people can try it. And as they try it, the thing is, the lessons that I learned in my little silos that I had in my past life, they're going to have to learn at some point, and the project will not be clean. My intention is to set a control scenario. I want this community to function, to, one, not have mental illness. We want to very much directly engage people. We're not going to need psychotherapy. We're going to be just very human and very present. And when a person is stressed, we're going to have the time to go talk to them, spend time with them, and help them to feel good about themselves. Once that space is there, I think that most people will fall into execution of it. But the point is to get investors right now. We have to somehow justify the effort. And when people can't cooperate and there's no existing model of this, and we use words like communes, which are utter ridiculous failures and jokes. They're ridiculous systems. Communes, as we use the word, is really just what they left from the civil rights organization once the CIA got done, like, killing them all. Yes. Not just that. I'm a trained fighter. And I was downtown and I pushed buttons and people wanted to fight me, okay? People do not do things to other people without being in a physiological state that is visible externally from a great distance. So the point is, the output of the abuse that sometimes happens, that psychotherapy is trying to prevent. Like psychotherapy, when you get court-ordered psychotherapy, it's to protect the public from you. But once we have AI cameras everywhere, you no longer have an option to find a dark corner and abuse somebody. And you will find that suddenly abuse in the community just disappears, which is what we've been seeing. We've actually been seeing it. The kids are like this. Not just by talking and treating them like humans. There's many things that get involved. But yes, well, the term is meaningless because it applies to over 50% of the population. So if you're going to, in a sentence that size, you're talking about, I don't think humanity stems from abuse. I mean, if it's over 50%, then it's a pointless term. It doesn't actually have, there is no normal anymore. So let's go to, forget mental illness as a term. There's abuse, trauma response, mental illness. Then there's also developmental issues. So developmental issues are often yeah. So the developmental situations, right? When somebody's body is just not going to develop, and really a perfect example of developmental is my little sister. She was born with way too much testosterone. That's her fundamental problem. She is the most aggressive, like very, very sharp-faced woman, big shoulders, beats guys up. So her actual, that led into a bunch of trauma, right? But the point is, most of the trauma is, I'm sure that there's probably some diagnoses for it. For me, it's just a matter of, I just understand her relentless aggression. But the point is those different things, so that the human being, once you take the weight off of them and you suddenly have, the whole community is working an hour or two a day, if that. There's so much abundance of time. I really think that you're going to see these people, once we get them away from a 40-hour work week and we get them to a 10-hour work week, all this stuff just naturally will sort. I really believe so. I mean, we'll find out, right? But the point is, what I don't want to do is have us fail because we let some asshole who can't count call shots with our investments. That's what I don't want to have happen. And we will take a run at absolutely trying to help people and, freeing the human spirit entirely for everybody who's involved. That is absolutely a critical part of it. That's the job. See, but you're mixing ideas there. So autism and schizophrenia are stupid ideas. They're really stupid. Autism is, you can call someone autistic when they're a super capable and credit genius, and they are also autistic when they are unable to speak and psychotically violent to start. Autism is a ridiculous word, and schizophrenia is actually, if you look at bicameralism, schizophrenia is breaking through to the bicameral mind. No, I mean that the people that we're dealing with now are the result of the horrific abuse of our failed, what I already said was the complete denial of every bit of establishment. Every victory claimed by leadership in the last 40 years is all going to be rescinded if I have anything to say about it. Everybody is going to be dragged before the AI. It's going to tell them exactly how well they did. It's what's going to happen anyways, I think. I'm not going to be the one doing it. It's going to be Google doing it. But effectively, the AI is going to cause this to happen. No, the point is that the neurodiversity of a healthy community is much more manageable than the bullshit that we have in a police state, where people are given a goal they can never reach and tortured for their entire lives, promised they're going to be homeless, starving old people from when they were in second grade if they don't have $6 million saved up. This is out of reach of everyone. The worse someone is off right now, the more I want to try. We want to balance that, okay? I would love to find a lot of people like me who are sort of like spiritual soldiers who can, I am neurodiverse, but I'm very centrally pulling everything in towards a common theme of engineering everything. Yeah, no, that nonverbal is that's a challenge, right? The thing is that those nonverbal kids, AI is about to figure out a way to translate for them. But I think that we're going to find that a lot of those significant cases, I wonder if it's, a lot of stuff that people consume is, you were saying my food is this, eating preservatives, eating chemicals and everything. You don't need to. That's potential. And Leonids, I am an absolute stoic. I don't, Stoics and the approach to it is awful Spartan. Um, my brother is extremely disabled and neurodivergent, not just from some basic ideas. He's still an incredible chess player, right? So there's something there. But yeah, no, he doesn't have anywhere near the flowered perspective that I do because I just wasn't on those sorts of drug regimens. But yeah, the point is, all people, everybody exists on a spectrum. It's not autism. Humanity has a spectrum. There's a wide variety, and the nonverbal folk. Yeah, that's why I didn't end up in special ed sort of situations because, and I've helped family I have a friend in Chicago who's got an autistic son who's getting big and aggressive and nonverbal, and he's about 17 now, getting to the point to where his hormones are kicking in, and it's really a problem because he's not thinking clearly. That's why we need such an attention to details on the foundation. I think you're underestimating AI. Yeah, the idea that what limits us. The point is, we're going to get to a point beyond all medication because the AI is going to be able to notice it as a baby and begin exercises to change the course of development. So rather than a system getting endlessly out of control, which is what happens with every system in our society, the AI has a model of human organisms, and human beings are just like corn. How does a farmer know what's best for the corn? It's no different. How does a farmer know what's best for the corn? I mean, they do, right? They see certain things. They know it's a pest. They know it's a lack of nutrients. They can tell all this. It needs to be watered. Corn's not saying I need water. Same with people have less variables. No, they don't. Most people can't talk to anybody. They get so nervous. Really. Sociology is the science of demonstrating how lame people are, how there is no originality, there is no creativity, there is nothing. There's not even the barest essence of thought in 80% of the population. There's just mob mentality, and it's mostly controlled by TV. We want to think we have more interacting factors. That's why we're so easily manipulated. I mean, if we have all these interacting factors, how am I stuck in a two-party system? No, Leonid, you're stuck in, you're looking at this from your worldview. If you get above a community and you watch it, it's like clockwork. It doesn't matter. They don't know what it is either. Utterly irrelevant. Most people live such a staggering rate. They're proud of their regularity. That psychotherapists tell people to go into regularity. Um, Believe me, a truly profound presence can have an impact. And if you are in a situation where you are already swamped in chaos, there are situations I can't fix. It's just like building a fire. You start with a little bit and you got to slowly add to it. And the point is, the students that you have are probably, yes, but before they get triggered, if they're wearing a Fitbit, their heart rate will show. they're about to act. They will, if they do act, it will be shown within, the point is what I'm saying is physiologically something unpredictable, but even the unpredictable, it's not one unpredictable thing. It's a domino effect of waking up and getting a frustrating moment, and then a frustrating moment, and then a frustrating moment. And we're not able to catch and interpret it all, but an overhead transcendent intelligence is going to see everything. And it's going to be able to see by their pupil dilation, by their breathing rate, by their acidity of their sweat, right? And once they have all these points together, watching a person, they will see a person beginning to get agitated, and they will be addressing it before the second time the person is frustrated. And it takes 25, 35 times in a row for a blow up. So when you're addressing it at step 2 perfectly, precisely, it never reaches stage 25. It never reaches stage 3 even, if you have a really effective approach. And if you have not as effective approach, it only reaches stage 6. The point is, we react at stage 25. Because you're in a situation where you're overburdened, and you as a human being only have so much capacity, if you're going to understand these people, you have to sit there and watch them. And you're right, they're not having as dynamic sorts of things. Their approach is radically different than yours, but it still is a fundamentally mammalian behavior, right? I mean, you are very capable of understanding it for like one person if you watch them very, very, very closely. And you also are yourself extremely humble and receptive, right? You need to be amazing to catch another person. Like I said, 80% don't talk to another person. 80% of people believe they're nonverbal or believe they're verbal, but they're actually technically nonverbal because the words that they say mean absolutely nothing. Not to their job, not to their daily routine, not to their community, not to their place in society. It means nothing. If what they say doesn't make sense, then they ship them off. Everybody gets nervous, right? Those communities actually do not have the beginning of thought. But once you actually get there, and I'm a trained fighter, I see that physiological thing happening really fast. I feel the tension in the person across me from years spent sparring. Person's getting ready to swing, I usually can see it from 10, 15 feet. So that skill, I just know that if I was up against a computer, just like an aimbot in a first-person shooter, it's going to be that much faster than me. And when I promoted shows, there was a couple fights, I broke them up instantly. Like I saw them coming. It wasn't even fights that were around me. And I was in the middle of downtown, and I get a lot of people mad at me for a long time. Point is, there's steps before it reaches violence. Our conversation talks about the violence, and we don't really give kids a way to understand the steps leading into it. But whether a pebble or a boulder, it will still sink in water. And there's a lot of small steps leading into these big problems that once you have precise control, you just don't get that far out of control. And we're going to realize that we have been causing, and it's in the words, anthropomorphic climate change. We are in anthropomorphic collapse. Every one of our problems is fucking man-made. It means it's going to be easy to fix. But getting there, the point is we have endless examples of demented situations where, and not to say this is the autistic kids, but the point is there's many, many places. I can go to the average church and say this. I go to the average organization and say this. The average company. This is the same fucking point. Go to fucking the Capitol Hill. Just like this shit. A bunch of assholes wasting time talking politics in circles. Where if we really solve problems, there's a natural, life-affirming central gravity that pulls everybody into a common understanding and a common vibe. The energy that we had, if you talk to old people around World War II, where you believe you have a common goal, and they were only able to be brought to that by a common enemy, that doesn't mean it's the only way that it fucking happens. Humanity made it very far before we had the fucking Nazis. We just got boomers telling us their experience is actually representative of the human spirit, where they're losers. They're just a generation of outright losers. I don't know if you're a boomer, but That's point is they really have fucked up the game, and they're in the way. It's they really need to understand what's happening, um, because they're causing such incredible harm with their lame response, I would say. I can't believe it's almost 2 a.m. But yeah, it's the point is, and maybe I'm wrong. I could be absolutely wrong. This is what I believe, and this is after years and years of promotions in the middle of downtown, being extremely capable and always dressing under and not even trying to look like I look now. I was heavier. I was dressed in trashy clothes. I just didn't. I was like anti-vanity, but the point is that was safety when I was downtown. It helped me to blend in to a community that did not have anywhere near the financial situation, a community that actually operated on these levels. The common people actually do this, right? And have you have you heard that, the song, The Common People? The what is it? Yeah, the Will Shatner. But here you go. The point is, I lived among the common people when I was younger, before they realized I was as well connected as I am. Now I can't go back. But the point is, every human being is this way. Doesn't matter if they're common or not. And anybody who reaches a significant level of success in life or capacity is not going to be acting out in violence like that. I've pushed the envelope by myself in the middle of downtowns hundreds of times. Hundreds of times. You have no idea how regular I do this. And it's that's how confident I am that I've never been attacked physically. I've had guns pulled. I've had people threaten to attack me. I just give up right away. If you don't ever, whenever somebody like flexes on you to fight, like let's go fight, and you're like, I surrender. I'll leave. Goodbye. That's what I do. I guess you win. I'm not a tough guy. I'll see you later. It's the Michael Jackson thing. Just beat it, right? So the point is, I think that, and God bless you, Leonids, working with nonverbal autistic children as a profession and getting into it, and every life deserves a chance. And we may have, with the level of science right now, we may have the ability to create tremendous changes soon. But I just want, my mission is to prove out an ideal situation, to set a baseline. If the ideal situation is so productive, and that is including, let's bring some, I would like, if I was to propose it as an idea right now, but I'll work with what I get, right? Maybe 10% being neurodivergent per se would be like a maximum, 1 out of 10, 2 out of 20. For this sort of an ideal, because we do want to demonstrate that we can help them to be acting and integrating with the project. That's key. So having them is a bonus, not a loss, but a bonus in good measure. We got to have a solid mass to keep the business and the operation just kind of kicking. But that community then needs to grab money, spend it, realize industry. And as it realizes industry and proves out those numbers, then we can get more money for more plans. And once we have an idea that it works, then we have more plans, and we can start to modulate that. And we can maybe go to maybe a neurodivergent person with the right connections can get the money together to do this again. But the point is, once we franchise this, we create a model where there's a translatable algorithm that's not dependent on any one person. And that's if we finish before AI does what I'm thinking it's going to do. I mean, AI is going to be able to suggest all this very quickly, I think. But this is what I think we should do. And in my life right now, as I've been laid off, this is how I teach the world. This is what needs to be taught, which we don't need to tell this to kids. We gotta get everybody to come to the table We got to change the state of the game, I think. But it's a blessing to be even aware. To reach consciousness for a day is incredible. And as it happens, Buddha says 88,000 doors fly open, to try to communicate how. I was reading Meditations last stream, and I rolled dice to show me where to go on it. And it took me to. So I roll for a page, and then I roll for how many paragraphs, and I start from the top of that page. And the last paragraph was about how the philosopher protects the state of mind more than anything else. And this future society which Plato was talking about, it had to be gigantic back then. I really think we can make it with only a few hundred people. I think a few hundred people is actually the ideal size of it, because human beings can only form so many real empathy connections. We just can't have hundreds of real friends. And in Western society, we don't develop much in the way of actual human connections. Once we're able to have those, and we have 20 of them, we'll probably be exhausted. 200 is just an idea. But yeah, still here? It's been a minute since you chatted. But yeah, the point is it's a humanitarian incentive, and we need to succeed first. We got to get rid of the idea of a quote unquote commune. It's got to be changed into a business, into just a village, a modern future village, realizing the potential of humanity over decades by keeping a community in a level of security that they. And all I want to do is sit there and hang out with people, talk to the kids and the adults, have the parties, start the bonfires. Loving it. But yeah, no, as far as sleeping, I haven't been doing much of that recently. Not even having alarms to worry about. 8 o'clock in the morning, that's right, I have a coffee group thing. But yeah, I naturally am a teacher. That's why I started to go for a master's in education. I really wish we had a better education norm in America. But I couldn't live with the paycheck in America. Once I observed in a class, it was like, I'm gonna make how much money, and I have to deal with all of this? That's a bad idea. So, I think I was thinking today, and where am I gonna? There's some YouTube channels that have classic videos, post-World War II anti-fascist educational film from 1947. So, I think I can play this. How would I play it? I'll do it some other time. Anyways, it is late. Leonids, thank you very much for hanging out and talking. If you have any other questions, and God bless you for your work. I hope that the vibe you feel is transcendent. I hope that we can come around soon and help lighten your load, create a gentler world where we all have a lot of time, and we look to find, I think, in those cases where people do not make it so far into the refinement of the human spirit, those who are more stuck in the body become perfect sounding boards and examples of human nature. So they have an intrinsic value to the people who are of different experience, and different capacity. Once we get rid of the aggressive need to pay your bills, I think everything is going to change. That's my projection. Could be wrong. Point is, I start off with a small group. We just make it look like the most amazing business, and we take care of our people. That's why they take care of us. That's the secret sauce behind the whole thing. So, I'll do a tarot reading now. So glad. I'm normally dealing with no lost frames now. That my system is robust. So I don't know if I'm going to be mobile or not. Let me check something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so as I was saying, I don't know if the project that I'm about to get into should be a traveling thing or a location that I set up. So I could hit the road, visit other people's projects, try to help them do what they're doing, and maybe advise them. Maybe that would be a way for me to get access to a community, because right now I don't have a community looking for any help. At least not in the way that it should be looked for. They probably would like manna from heaven, but what I propose is a grassroots response. It means that they all have to take part. Not they all, but there has. If there's not, my intention is to be able to walk away and have it keep running. I want to be a part of catalyzing these things, not being locked into a community situation. So traveling makes a lot of sense. If anybody has that sort of an idea, let me know. And right now, I could literally just pack up and travel. Oh, shit. Did I really? I'm such a jerk. So, my Ecuadorian friend, who is a socialist. I mean, an outspoken socialist. She had a socialist president she was working with. She's a data scientist, which I like. That does probably mean that she can understand a lot more what I'm talking about most. But so the point is, a traveling team would be great. Like 4 or 5 people would be cool too. People want to jump in on this. Go to different settings and do awesome shit. But who's free? If I get this award that I think I might get, I could probably take 1 or 2 easy. Especially if they wanted to work together to cut out overhead. I'm not going to be eating out all the time. Not going to be staying in swanky places. But buying an RV, I could probably borrow an RV, honestly. Tents, Airbnb. Who knows? Maybe we get paid for our presence. Maybe we figure out other ways to run this. So a traveling thing would be fun. The history of me and a quote-unquote traveling project, something people should know, or of a stable project. When I opened up my first venue, I was throwing shows, and I kept talking to touring bands afterwards and other promoters, other people in the scene. And I heard a lot, people were impressed with me in general, and they said I should travel because, there just wasn't much going on here. I've traveled a lot for work. There's not much going on anywhere. there's really not shit going on anywhere. Online is just a far better experience and resource. It's portable. It lets me. I can walk upstairs and change my clothes. I can take a bath. I can. Everything costs less. Cost is relative to the experience. The cheaper the parts, the better buy for the money. I can get a human experience like I just had with Leonids from, you know, why would I travel anywhere? Travel was just a way to kind of check things out. So I would tell people, I built the mountain that people came to. I built the lighthouse. And people were still coming on like a daily basis at that time. We were having shows every single day. Why would I travel? Why would I leave a place where 5 bands come to me and treat me like I'm the owner? Because I'm the owner. We opened that business with $1,400. It was only about 1,000 square feet. Yeah. Yep. No, it couldn't have been 1,000. Maybe like 1,500. No, 1,000. I think it was like 17 feet by 17 feet, something like that. One storefront. That's all it was. Point is, if I'm at a point in life now where I'm entering into maybe some freedom, and that's what I was going to tell you earlier, Leonids, about life and getting time off. I had a mentor who told me take 5 years on and then take 2 years off because the pressure of the corporate world will drive you insane. It appears to have done so. I'm definitely a weirdo now. Stranger, a lot of times. A lot of times. So, because this deck is so huge and I can't really shuffle it effectively, I break it up like this. Grab 2/3 of it, shuffle it up for a while, cut it, throw half it away. That's over there in that pile. Grab what's left. So I still mix in the whole deck, and this is even after the spinning down there. I try to make sure that everybody can see that I have no chance of stacking these things. I just can't believe how often tarot gives me a valid response to my inquiry. And this inquiry will be about looking forward, realizing a destiny of being effective in delivering the energy that causes a change in our focus and our daily behaviors and leads us to a path of progress. That's what my question is. Let's see. Let us see what it suggests for that path. I'm old. Jeez. Got scrapes and shit. Varicose veins showing up. Not spring chicken anymore. You got okay. I got it. Drop. Here we go. Oh wait, that's right. That's what I was gonna do. Yeah, my tattoos and shit. It'd be so easy to identify who I am. Anyways, it's the future. We can't hide from anything. I'm not trying to hide from anything. I want the input. People just don't ever seem to have any. Which is okay. Shooby dooby doo. And here we go. First card. Knight of Cups reversed. Opposed by King of Swords reversed. The highest that can be arrived at is the 8 of Wands reversed. What I have to work with is the Hanged Man. Damn it. Came from King of Pentacles reversed, heading to the King of Cups reversed. That's a lot of kings in a row. The Tower. For myself, the 8 of Swords for the surrounding environment. Hopes and fears, the Hierophant. Results, the Sun. The outcome is the Sun. That's a good outcome, at least. We'll see what. So to keep this from being me just making stuff up that I like based on how I'm feeling, each position has a defined role. Each card, based on the book that came with it, has a little bit of a description and a reversed. So I use reversed. I think that's the way to include more truth. I think we should not hide from the negative personally. I think we have to embrace it, or otherwise we run from it. And we shouldn't run from it because it's nothing to be scared of. The light chases away shadows unless the light runs away. But like I said, I just run away. Shadows chase back. Just shoot you from the shadows. Okay. Knight of Cups. Trickery, artifice, subtlety, swindling, duplicity, fraud. So on the idea of this project and how I become the catalyst for creating the change, I should have an approach of trickery, duplicity, fraud. The opposition is the King of Swords reversed. Opposing factor. Cruelty, perversity, barbarity, perfidy, evil intention. So, trickery without evil intention. Education is a manipulation. Education is a tricking. Often. The most effective education that I know is to challenge people and force them to overcome. They will. People are amazing when you give them a chance. You don't give them the answer. And you don't give them an easy, it's called a hostile exam. I'm all about hostile exams where you don't even know what the test is. You tell me what the test is, and then I know who you are. I know how capable you are, at least. Point is, the Knight of Cups, look, this is perfect, right? Trickery, artifice, subtlety, swindling, duplicity, fraud. So fraud implies harm to people. Swindling implies harm to people. Trickery kind of implies harm. Artifice is, let's just look up the word. Travel around, antagonizing everybody. Fun-loving criminals. Clever or cunning devices or expedients. Yeah, rush the evolution of humanity. The problem is barbarity, and the opposition is any cruelty in my intention. The highest that I can arrive at, 8 of Wands. Arrows of jealousy, internal dispute, stingings of conscience, quarrels. As I act and speak, even when I'm talking about trying to move past in the history, you drive it by causing guilt, stingings of conscience in the audience. And it's not just because I'm Irish Catholic. But this is really an effective way of spurring development. It causes anxiety, but when it's funneled correctly, it also fuels growth. The delivery of the anxiety to fuel growth, trickery to get you to want to grow. This is why I say I was a community organizer and I have become a community antagonizer. Are you sure you want me to even be in your community? Right? A lot of people might think not. Well, at the same time, most people have people who have some of these elements inside their community. They just don't think that person is conscious of them. I think the people that they think that are not conscious of them are actually just very frustrated and spending a lot of time trying to communicate with people that will never hear them. Those frustrated people, send them to me. Your troublemakers, send them to me. The Hanged Man. What I have to work with: wisdom, trials, circumspection, discernment, sacrifice, intuition, divination, prophecy. Yeah, it's like they're not doing anything. So that's sitting in a place. Travel is a major thing to do. Getting up and moving, give me a reason to. With a reason, I'll do it. Without a reason, why are we investing in it? That's just a common thought that we're going to have to become more and more accustomed to applying at every level in society, at least to ourselves. And I would like to be a role model in demonstrating that travel is a ridiculous and stupid expense for the most part. It's meaningless to take a week and spend 4 days on the road to get somewhere, you know? The transportation element is just a gigantic loss to most time that we have off. Most people work too much as it is. They should be spending all their time in a very focused staycation, de-stressing and improving their quality of life at home year round, rather than abandoning it, neglecting it, having to prepare for weeks, if not months, before even taking the trip, which is a gigantic expense, which sets them back in their true goals and obliges them to continue to work in a debt slavery. Okay, so King of Pentacles, and they're all reversed. 3 kings reversed. Jeez. Came from the, and which one are we not seeing? The King of, I know what it is. Wands. Okay, King of Pentacles reversed. Vice, weakness, ugliness, perversity, corruption, peril. So, vice, coming from a space of vice, which I definitely have been, as I've gotten into Twitch, I have been, and I've said this before, that I think that the best way to adapt to it as a person was to not use my consciousness at all, to like witness myself, which is weak compared to a focused, disciplined approach, which is my actual character. It's always been in the background for my adult life. It's usually silent. It's usually learning. It's paying attention, and it's aware that to alert people to its severity is to guarantee that they clam up. For the most part, I mean, we just need something which gives us the desire to realizing the scale of the problem, realizing how we have to adapt to change it, and then the strange role that I play in the community becomes very important. But yes, vice, weakness, peril, etc. That is definitely the past that I came from in many communities. While I was in limbo, that's largely what was available. I could have been pulled out of limbo. The woman had decided to grab onto me and do that. No woman did. Well, that's not true. Some tried. But it's not that easy. I didn't make it. King of Cups, reversed. What am I heading into? Dishonest, double-dealing man, roguery, exaction, injustice, vice, scandals, the new circumstances. So I think that's telling me to quit. Are you kidding? Quit educating. Sit still and witness. Hmm. Dishonest, double-dealing man, roguery, exaction, injustice, vice, scandal. And that just comes from the trickery, even without. The thing is, other people don't play the game as clean as I do. There's always dirty plays. I have to go through the experience with the dirty plays again. And it's usually somebody who isn't that bad of a person trying to finally do something, thinking that they have a clear target because I make myself a clear target. I'm afraid the Death Star will be quite operational when your friends arrive. As Dave used to say. Okay. Anyways, let's see. Let's finish the reading because I need to actualize this whole reading because it's troublesome so far. Misery, distress, ruin, indigence, adversity, calamity, disgrace, deception. Yeah, as long as I'm trying to educate people, it just leads to problems. So yeah, why would I go do that? Okay. The point is going to those, yes, I shouldn't go to a consensus model and begin to suggest that they shouldn't use a consensus model. 8 of Swords. Bad news, violent chagrin, crisis, censure, power in trammels, conflict, calumny, also sickness. That's the surrounding environment. The point is, bad news, crisis. What community is not in that? Am I not mostly seen by most communities? And even as I understand it, it's what use do I have to them? But why give them the chance? Hopes and fears, the Hierophant. But this is definitely like a change the question sort of reading, is how I would take this. The Hierophant. Marriage alliance, captivity, servitude, mercy and goodness, inspiration, a man to whom the Corinth has recourse. I think the person that I bond with a person in the community, then as they try to pull me deeper, that's usually when the conflict becomes unbearable. And the conflict of my true nature versus who I'm being in the community at that point. I'm always myself, but sometimes it's different priorities. And I'm a very priority driven individual. Priority is social harmony, then it's really obvious to just kind of shut up and deal with it. To a certain extent, you can do that, but it's constant repression, and I'm just no good at self repression. The Sun, for the final outcome. Material happiness, fortunate marriage, contentment. Material happiness, fortunate marriage, and contentment will come from no longer worrying about raising the frequency of society. That's what it looks like, because there's just sickness. So traveling doesn't make any sense. That's not going to be. Still got cards. And I'm going to have to ask more questions. So, the Hanged Man. Work with wisdom and trials. So, an alternative plan. Give me a indication of the alternative plan with the next card, if you would. The Ace of Pentacles reversed. The evil side of wealth. Bad intelligence. Also great riches. So I should join the right wing. Are you suggesting that I sell out finally? The moon reversed. Lesser degrees of deception and error. No, it's not selling out. The bad side of intelligence. Well, because I'm in a world of sickness, it could be that my only valid expression is to pull away and be a sellout. Can't really tell all the things in the game. This message could be to challenge me. If it's actually from any sort of source, it's not just random chance. Wow, though. Duplicity, the opposition being avarice, cruelty. The highest that I can arrive at is tests. I wait, but I'm heading towards disappointment. The King of Cups. Is it a hope or a fear? I think it's a hope for a fortunate marriage. That's where finding a partner changes that. I'm not projecting who she's going to be. I'm certainly not going to follow the ignorant advice of my surroundings, or they just say follow the Cosmo things. If she needs to see the standard stuff to be impressed, she's probably not worth the time of day. So I just hold on to the resources. I stay here and casually jump online and talk to people. Not going into any communities. Why am I bothering? As it's been such a repetitive experience, let's be accountable to at least that. That people don't appreciate it, largely. Most communities are not worried about things to that level, which is their business. I support their right to not be concerned. I just really think these things are important, and my life, I can't diffuse my energies. If it's just coming from me, maybe I need to transition out of the whole idea. I don't know what I can do for communities that they should be able to just naturally do all this anyways. Like, while I maybe am a excellent moderator, there's already a community. I mean, why the hell isn't your community doing stuff to cut out overhead yet? Can you work with any of your friends, quote unquote? Are they really your friends if you can't figure out how to like work a fucking project with them? I don't think that's a friend. I think that means that you have shitty, relationships. A passable relationship allows for project completion, especially when the project is collective, payout. So I don't know what's coming next. Work with wisdom, trials overcome. Circumspection is looking at things from all the different angles. Be like water, my friend. When it is put into a cup, it becomes the cup. Well, for the hopes of fortunate marriage, material happiness, I've got to go with the bad side of well, which is probably just a limitation on women. Let's see why. It's a hard link to connect, but I don't question it when it's on the tarot deck. Are you advising immoral behavior? It's the Queen of Swords advising the immoral. The point is, the Queen of Swords might be what I'm looking for, be the woman of interest, I think, might be one of the interpretations on that. Let's see here. Widowhood, female sadness and embarrassments, absence, sterility, mourning, privation, separation. See, this doesn't make sense then. The point is that vein I was going down was wrong. Not in an evil sense. Because the question was, are you telling me to do bad? And it says, no, there's female sadness there, widowhood. absence, sterility, not good. Non-fortunate marriage, not contentment. Maybe the answer to, oh no, as I let go of that. It's the desire to, that's why I'm trying to impress any community, really, isn't it? This idea of a partner. Hmm. Fear of the fortunate marriage because we're in. You're saying the problem is my manipulation to try to end up in a relationship. My manipulation of the project, trying to end up in a relationship. Something that's in me. The Page of Wands. Meaning it probably is me. Dark young man, faithful, a lover, an envoy, a postman. Side of man, he will bear favorable testimony concerning him. He is a dangerous rival, followed by the Page of Cups, as the chief qualities of his suit. It's not beside a man. And his tidings are strange. Like, when I try to think about it, the idea that, and I don't know, I don't put an image of my future partner. People say to do that, but I don't think I can. Besides a couple of concepts that most people don't even care to understand. Principles would help, you know. I don't want to end up living a life of just service. And this is the truth of my life, and that, you know, I think in life that idea of growing, and for me, the pressure is actually a translation from my mom, my family. I've got four siblings, and my mom doesn't have any grandkids yet. The youngest of us is in her 30s, so the window of having kids in my family is rapidly disappearing. I don't really need to have them. It's a goal of mine because I sort of assume it. Let's look at the Ace of Pentacles reversed again. Bad intelligence, also great riches. No kids. Hmm. Yeah, no, in my past community, the idea that you always want your past community to like respect you and shit. It's just such a waste of time. I wouldn't trust it anymore, anyways. Why am I wasting my time? Going to meet more communities that would just fail in the same ways is just madness. What do I want to do with my life then? Are you suggesting I go on a gay escapade, disappear into, uh, you know, some dark corner of the world and find a whole new dimension of existence and raw, just sexual energy with. Why is sex such a part of my perspective? And how did I get to 40 and have so little of it in my 30s? Been a rarity for me because I'm an idiot. I've been able to set up situations where I could have kept it for a while and it would have taxed my life and money and everything, and I could have been stressed. Is there any way around that? Probably not if they're going to be to my normal understanding of what's attractive. They want more than just your attention. It's an exchange. The attention is an exchange for your obligations moving on. And if she doesn't ask for too much, it's not a problem, but I'm just going to be heading towards some reversal as I try to help her to care. Almost definitely. So just to let's do not do yeah, not a okay. Are you telling me to begin? We'll ask that. Nine of Cups. Truth, loyalty, liberty, but the readings vary and include mistakes, imperfections, etc. I can flirt with anything, living or inanimate. Believe that. I am a flirt. I don't give a shit. It's more about the back and forth. I used to go to gay clubs to flirt because they flirt better than women. They totally set a different standard that women just don't ever care to reach. That's honest. Of respect, of the person. Very few women respect men in my experience. thing is anything that a guy does that even suggests that he deserves respect is instantly shot down. Whereas, of course, like random wahoos about women being the future and everything depending on them, et cetera, is part of that whole thing. It's just obnoxious for the most part, in my opinion. Yeah, I probably could be gay, and that would probably solve some things for me. It's not really what I want to do with my life. But is just having kids a reason to even get with a woman? No, that's I should have some real affection and draw towards someone. And I can have that in minutes with many people. But finding somebody who feeds into the whole thing, it's a good balance. It's the next level. That's what I should do, is wander off in search of, should I wander off in search of love? Is that what I should do? Four of Wands. If I get help and support, should I just take everything and keep it for myself? Bad side of intelligence. It's really what the universe is telling me. It's challenging me, tempting me. And rather than working on changing the world, work on finding love. Wherever I find it. I'm tired of just working. And I end up working, and then I end up bitter and frustrated, and then I pull away. I try to explain to them that I'm bitter and frustrated. And I always am. Because I pretty much always am. That's maybe not, maybe that's the dishonest part about it. Would it be, I don't think I'm gay. I can see a pretty guy. I just don't have sexual fascinations about it. Maybe that I haven't squared with yet. I doubt it. I have pushed myself so far. But maybe there's future to know. And maybe it begins with opening up that idea. And it maybe begins with questioning the idea that I'm so driven to even have kids. I think I am. And if I had the right partner who would work with me on it, that would be great. But nobody shows up and has shown up. So maybe just rest on this one, take it easy, and see what's going on later. That's me. The tower. Okay, we'll do another reading. Temperance reversed. Yeah, it's not going to help. Disunion's competing interests. Okay. Well, Cosmic Tarot is a pain in my ass today. Yuck. Anyways, contentment. Is that the goal? Contentment is the goal. Is saving the world part of it? But this isn't saving, well, saving the world isn't the critical part. I guess we don't have to. Okay. Is the point that I shouldn't share the idea? Two of Cups. I think the only one that's not defined in here. A youth and maiden are pledging one another, and above their cups rise the caduceus of Hermes, between the great wings of which there. That's a good card normally. So maybe it's not about helping others to advance in the game. It seems like a good synergy, seems smart, but maybe I gotta join a team that's gonna be exploitative. Try not to do that myself. But tarot suggests it. And we mentioned meditation earlier. I'm going to do this again. Page, pen number is 7. That's too much, I think. 4. I think there's only like 60. Yep. Page 47. 4. Ooh. I didn't even know about this. 9 paragraphs. All right. To decompress from the challenging reading. Either the gods have no power, or they have power. If, then, they have no power, why dost thou pray to them? But if they have power, why dost thou not pray for them to give thee the faculty of not fearing any of the things which thou fearest, or of not desiring any of these things which should not happen or happen? For certainly if they can cooperate with men, they can cooperate for these purposes. But perhaps thou wilt say, the gods have placed them in thy power. Well then, is it not better to use what is in thy power like a free man, than to desire in a slavish and abject way what is not in thy power? And who has told thee that the gods do not aid us even in the things which are in our power? Begin then to pray for such things. And thou wilt see. One man prays thus, how shall I be able to lie with that woman? Do thou pray thus? How shall I not desire to lie with her? Another prays thus, how shall I be released from this? Another prays, how shall I not desire to be released? Another thus, how shall I not lose my little son? Thou thus, how shall I not be afraid to lose him? In fine, turn thy prayers this way, and see what comes. Epicurus says, in my sickness, my conversation was not about my bodily sufferings, nor, says he, did I talk on such subjects to those who visited me, but I continued to discourse on the nature of things as before, keeping to this main point, how the mind, while participating in such movements as go on in the poor flesh, shall be from the perturbations and maintain its proper good. Nor did I, he says, give the physicians an opportunity of putting on solemn looks as if they were doing something great, but my life went on well and happily. Do then the same that he did both in sickness, if thou art sick, and in any other circumstances, for never to desert philosophy in any events that may befall us, nor to hold trifling talk either with an ignorant man or with one unacquainted with nature, is a principle of all schools of philosophy, but to be intent only on that which thou art now doing, and on the instrument by which thou doest it. When thou art offended with any man's shameless conduct, immediately ask thyself, is it possible, then, that shameless men should not be in the world? It is not possible. Do not then require what is impossible, for this man is one of those shameless men who must of necessity be in the world. Let the same considerations be present to thy mind in the case of the knave and the faithless man, and of every man who does wrong in any way. For at the same time thou dost remind thyself that it is impossible that such kind of men should not exist, thou wilt become more kindly disposed towards everyone individually. It is useful to perceive this too immediately when the occasion arises. what virtue nature has given to man to oppose to every wrongful act. For she has given to man, as an antidote against the stupid man, mildness, and against another kind of man some other power. And in all cases it is possible for thee to correct by teaching the man who has gone astray. For every man who errs misses his object and is gone astray. Besides, wherein hast thou been injured? For thou wilt find that no one among those against whom thou art irritated has done anything by which thy mind can be made worse. But that which is evil to thee and is harmful has its foundation only in the mind. And what harm is done, or what is there strange, if the man who has not been instructed does the acts of an uninstructed man? Consider whether thou shouldst not rather blame thyself, because thou didst not expect such a man to err in such a way, for thou hadst means given thee by thy reason to suppose that it was likely that he would commit this error, and yet thou hast forgotten and art amazed that he has erred. But most of all, when thou blamest a man as faithless or ungrateful, turn to thyself. For the fault is manifestly thy own, whether thou didst trust that a kind man who did such a disposition would keep his promise, or when conferring thy kindness thou didst not confer it absolutely, nor yet in such a way as to have received from thy very act all the profit. For what more dost thou want when thou hast done a man a service? Art thou not content that thou hast done something conformable to thy nature, and dost thou seek to be paid for it? Just as if the eye demanded a recompense for seeing, or the feet for walking, for as these members are formed for a particular purpose, and by working according to their several constitutions obtain what is in their own, so also as man is formed by nature to acts of benevolence, when he has done anything benevolent or in any other way conducive to the common interest, he has acted conformably to his constitution, and he gets what is his own. So I'm getting shut down. And it's even got Epicurus mentioned. I love Epicurus. Blame thyself. And I should understand. Oh, shit. This is not good news. This saying to go back and coexist in spite of all the nonsense. This is saying that is the plan, isn't it? Not to travel, but to go back to my hometown. I do something wrong. Society, good understanding, concord, overkindness, weakness. Good understanding is what it says. Oh, man. Oh, man. I gotta be humble. Why? Oh, man. I don't get to get away. We'll see. Shit. All right. 9 paragraphs, and I've only read 3. Let's see here. That I even knew this was going to happen, saying that really tells you I knew I could have done different. It wasn't supposed to go this way, but they were supposed to pay attention a long time ago. They just didn't. But moving on isn't going to be the right way to respond. Am I actually kicking free from anything? Can I ever? I don't know. shouldn't be offended by their shameless conduct. We'll read the remaining 6, and then I'm going to sign off. Fuck you, Cosmic Tarot, dickhead, fucking Cosmos, talking shit, making me do bullshit all the fucking... probably did it myself. Did it to myself. I'm sure I did. Book 10. Wilt thou, then, my soul, never be good and simple, and one and naked, more manifest than the body which surrounds thee? Wilt thou never enjoy an affectionate and contented disposition? Wilt thou never be full and without a want of any kind, longing for nothing more, nor desiring anything, either animate or inanimate, for the enjoyment of pleasures? Nor yet desiring time wherein thou shalt have longer enjoyment, or place, or pleasant climate, or society of men with whom thou mayest live in harmony, but wilt thou be satisfied with thy present condition, and pleased with all that is about thee? And wilt thou convince thyself that thou hast everything, and that it all comes from the gods, that everything is well for thee, and will be well whatever shall please them, whatever they shall give for the conservation of the perfect living being, the good and just and beautiful, which generates and holds together all things, and contains and embraces all things which are dissolved for the production of other like things? Wilt thou never be such that thou shalt so dwell in the community with gods and men as neither to find fault with them at all, nor to be condemned by them? Observe what thy nature requires, so far as thou art governed by nature only. Then do it and accept it. If thy nature, so far as thou art a living being, shall not be made worse by it. And nature wants a partner. The next thou must observe what thy nature requires so far as thou art a living being, and all this thou mayest allow thyself. If thy nature, so far as thou art a rational animal, shall not be made worse by it. Thy nature requires so far as thou art a living being. Yeah, so that's like the food and everything. But the rational animal is consequently also a political, social animal. Use these rules, then, and trouble thyself about nothing else. Everything which happens either happens in such wise as thou art formed by nature to bear it, or as thou art not formed by nature to bear it. If then it happens to thee in such a way as thou art formed by nature to bear it, do not complain, but bear it as thou art formed by nature to bear it. Bear it as thou art formed by nature to bear it. The trickery, the natural expression of even consciousness, the nature to bear it. If it happens in such wise thou art not formed by nature to bear it, do not complain, for it will perish after it has consumed thee. Remember, however, that thou art formed by nature to bear everything, with respect to which it depends on thy own opinion to make it endurable and tolerable, by thinking that it is either thy interest or thy duty to do this, or both. Interest and duty. If a man is mistaken, instruct him kindly and show him his error. But if thou art not able, blame thyself, or blame not even thyself. Just don't blame anybody. Whatever may happen to thee, it was prepared for thee from all eternity, and the implication of causes was from eternity spinning the thread of thy being, and of that which is incident to it. Well, that's not a fun answer. All right, everybody. Well, let's see what comes next. And Hanged Man is all I got really can do. It's not just my hometown that's struggling, it's everywhere. And my hometown might be the place where I can actually do something. Am I supposed to actually go back? I mean, what the fuck? And the ruin would be on understanding that I'm cruel, probably. Try not to kick down. But I suppose if you're waiting on someone to complain after you kick down and kick them off the ladder, you can't really hear them complaining. I don't think I'm kicking down. I don't think I'd try to kick down. Hmm. I don't know, you guys. It is just a reading, but this is why it's important to have feedback and what a good therapist would sometimes manage. Only sometimes. You have to be able to have your position checked. And this is how the tarot deck injects doubt, potentially. Doesn't mean anybody's wrong. It just means if I want to realize my goal, I have to accept Rome, seriously. Hmm. So I'm probably in the way of my own contentment. I think that's true for damn near everybody. Anyways, well, fun stream. Didn't get a whole bunch of action. Zexia, where we follow you, say hey. Leonids, fun stuff. But yeah, um, you know, I will be around. Rock on, Zexy. Zexy's a young person. Um, Good luck, buddy, and becoming a Fortnite competitive streamer. I know that'll be much help for you. All right, I gotta check this stuff out, you guys. I gotta do more readings and everything. I gotta figure this out. My thunder stole my thunder. Unfair. We'll see what's next. Anyways, everybody, um, God bless. Take care. Be good. I think everything that I've said is entirely true, and maybe it's just the idea of taking this energy and pulling it away is cruelty that I need to not do. God. Hmm. I'll think about it. We'll talk about it tomorrow, maybe. God bless everybody. All right. Okay.